What's up, everybody? This is Travis, and today we are talking about how to incorporate wine into innovative new cocktails, what type of wine you should drink to avoid that nasty hangover, and what type of wine you should approach if you're a brand new wine drinker on episode 1 of Just Ask Trav.
Just Ask Trav.
Welcome, everybody. Before we kind of get into anything today, I want to take a minute, just pause and, give a moment for everybody who's suffering right now and dealing with COVID-19. It's a really crazy time out there right now. This just happened to me about a week and a half ago, and I kept it very quiet, but I became very, very sick. And finally, a doctor encouraged me to go get tested for COVID. And I just got my test results back just a few hours ago, and I am negative for the coronavirus. So, thank God, but there's a lot of people out there that weren't as lucky as I am that are dealing with it and having even a harder time dealing with it than I am. So, just take a moment, relax, don't go out, don't be around a whole bunch of people. If you actually, it's a great idea. Anybody who's watching this who has a good idea of something that they can do or have been doing while they've been cooped up inside, write it down in the comments underneath. That way some other people can check it out. I don't care if it's a movie suggestion or, just a hobby suggestion, an arts and craft, whatever it is that you've got. Write it down and we'll put it together, and that way we can kind of work together and get through this together as a community. That's the most important thing. I'll tell you what I've been doing, aside from starting all this online stuff and some more of these videos, which is brand new. I'll go into a little bit more of that in a minute. I actually took a few moments the other day and I texted about 30, 40 people that I haven't talked to in years. And it was specifically targeted to people that I haven't spoken to in years that I still happen to have their number in my phone. And I was shocked at the type of response that I got from people. And it was really cool. I started doing it around 6 o'clock, thinking maybe it would take up an hour. And I think I was up until 4 o'clock the next morning, like 10 hours later, texting people that I hadn't talked to or calling people that I hadn't talked to in a long time. So some of them even want to get involved in some of this. And it's so funny. I gained a couple new customers for the wine business and that kind of thing. It's really exciting. And just because you're alone at home doesn't mean you have to be alone at home. You can reach out to people, reach out to me, whatever. We're all here for each other. That's really what this is all about. So take a moment and think of everybody and, thoughts and prayers out to everybody who's dealing with this. On a little bit happier of a note, this channel is something that I kind of developed over the past 2 months or so in my head, and just wanted to kind of jump in and start doing it because I've never really done anything like this before, except for the short videos that we've done online. And really the purpose was to teach you guys about wine, beer, and liquor and give you an outlet and a place to learn. Because I notice a lot of people either know a ton about wine or they know little to nothing. They try a couple things and they finally get stuck on Kendall Jackson Chard because they see that in every store and that's what their friends drink and that's what they think is like the best Chardonnay. It's okay, but it's not the best wine for them. And I really want to educate people, give them an opportunity to try new things and give them an outlet to learn a little bit without, working their way all the way up to being a sommelier. So that's what this page is really going to be primarily about. And we'll have some fun doing it. Maybe you know something about wine that I don't. You can put it right in the comments and show off your knowledge and we'll learn from each other a little bit. That'll be really cool. And again, I'm going to answer questions that people have sent me. So a couple of the questions that are coming up in this video were asked just over the last week. I think it was exactly a week ago today. Yeah, exactly a week ago today, right on my page. Some of my fans wrote in questions when I asked them for it. So leave your questions in the comments underneath and we'll address it in the next video. There's going to be many videos to come, and I already have a few ideas kind of turning in there, but every video I kind of want to address a couple questions. So question number 1. really great question. What type of wine should beginners drink? I can't give you a solid answer because everybody likes something different. But here's my best advice. I'll give you probably two pieces, maybe a little bit more, but at least two pieces. The first piece of advice is go to a store, meet somebody who is a little bit knowledgeable. Go to a couple stores until you find the right person. There's always a guy there. I don't care if it's a wine manager or a manager or just somebody who stocks the shelves. Find somebody in a store who knows a little bit about what they're talking about, and is really involved in the store, is there quite a bit. Ask them for somebody who knows a bit about wine, and they'll tell you who knows a little bit about wine, more so than them who's working in the store. Because a lot of times, especially nowadays, the cashiers in stores don't know a ton about wine. So you can always find somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable there and work with that person. Stick with them. Go back to them every couple weeks and say, hey, man, listen, the bottle that you recommended last week, it was a little too dry for me. It was a little too this. And they're not going to necessarily take that as a criticism against them, but they'll take that as an opportunity to better the recommendation that they're making for you for the next time. And it really takes a little bit of time to learn someone's palate, because honestly, most people don't know their palates very well. So if you don't know your palate, I don't know your palate. I can trust what you tell me and make the best recommendations off of the information that you give. But a lot of time that relationship is really what's going to get the best things in your hand over a little bit of period of time. That's one. And two, the second piece of advice I would give you is try something new. A lot of people, they try the same wine every single time they go to the store, and they end up with like Kendall Jackson Chard because that's what their friends recommend for them, and that's what they think, that they're supposed to drink. And it's not necessarily the best wine for you. You can try a lot of different wines, and just always don't pick up that same bottle every single time you go, because then you're going to get stuck on that. And a lot of people I speak to know that, I know all the wines, Mercelet is the best Chardonnay. When in reality, they've had like 4 or 5 Chardonnays. They've had them all from California. They haven't tried any South American wines. They haven't tried any Burgundies, white Burgundies to get like a nice, French Chardonnay. So to say that it's the best when you've tried like 6 wines in your life, then, it's really irresponsible. So I guess the last piece of advice, there will be a third piece of advice. Don't listen to the noise, right? Go to the store, form that relationship, sign up for a video like this. I try wine all the time, and I'm going to teach you about it. There's a lot of people out there like me, although I think I give you the best deals on wines and offer delivery around New Jersey if you're in Monmouth County. Yeah, so sign up for them. You can learn a whole lot about wine that you never thought you'd know. And you'll end up knowing 10 times more than any of your friends, and honestly, much more than you ever need to know. A lot of people who get hangovers from wine assume that it's from one of a handful of things. It's sulfites, gluten, sugar, I drank too much, or it wasn't a very good wine. And all of those things could potentially cause a hangover, right? But if you're drinking sweeter wines and you're getting a hangover, the simple answer, and it's just like an 80% rule, simple answer is that you were dehydrated, right? The sugar mixed with the alcohol is dehydrating your system. So if you drink a little bit of wine before and after you start drinking, maybe a little bit during, you shouldn't have nearly that much of an issue with it. You'll get less of a hangover, and definitely make sure you ate a little bit that day, or at least before you started drinking, and that'll help in that regard as well. I want to open this question up a little bit more, though, because there's so much more I could say about getting a hangover, and the assumptions that people make with it. Some magazine one time published an article that talked about gluten and sulfites. People over the last couple of years have taken a trend where they're trying to keep those things out of their food as well. But I'm telling you, if you have celiacs, if you're allergic to gluten or sulfites or any of those things, you know about it. You're making those conscious decisions when you're food shopping, and it's not just when you're purchasing wine. And if you want to keep those things out of your system, that's fine. But realize that that's probably not the only thing that's causing issues for you, right? It could be anything from the type of oak that something's fermented in, the amount of tannin that something has, the amount of acidity or what type of acidity something has. There's so many factors that could give you a hangover. It's not even funny. So you want to try different things and experiment with it a little bit, and that'll help you. And if you still have a problem, go see what's the word I'm looking for? No, an allergenist. Go see an allergenist And they'll definitely let you know, they can do some tests or whatever. But before that, you can just do some experimentation on your own. For example, and ask the person in your store, like I said in the video earlier, if you're drinking Rieslings, like Barefoot Riesling, and that's giving you a terrible problem, you're going to assume it's the sugar. Go try, like I said before, Gruner Veltliner, which is even sweeter than that Riesling. And if you don't have a problem with that, your problem may be that Barefoot really sucks. I mean, it's mixed match juice from everywhere. It could just be any number of things, like I said, that are giving you the problem. So don't make assumptions. Experiment a little bit with different types of wine from different regions, and different types of oak, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're still having a problem, you can always reach out to me individually. I'll help you the best I can. But eventually, inevitably, you may want to go see a, damn it, I forgot it again, an allergenist. I'm probably a poor person to ask for it because, in all sincerity, I really don't. For the most part, I drink my wine the way I like my wine, in a glass from the bottle. But I do know of a handful of interesting cocktails that I've never actually come up with. Aside from like sangria, one of the most popular ones, and sangria is really cool, by the way. One of the most popular ones is called Cali Mocha. I made a video for it. I'll post it up actually like right after this video. Maybe I can throw a link in there somewhere so you can actually find it a little easier. And I made it around Halloween time. I think last Halloween. So I put a little block of dry ice in it. And it was smoking because it just looks black like wine in a glass. But it's essentially dry red wine. In my video, I think we used a dry red Bordeaux, so like a Merlot, and a soda. So it's just half and half Coca-Cola and wine. And it sounds really weird, but it's an old Spanish recipe, and it's actually very commonly done in Spain. You can look up Cali Mocha, and I think there's like thousands and thousands of people who made it and hashtagged it when they took a picture of it, just because it is really that kind of unbelievable of a cocktail for you to try. One way that I found when I'm mixing things together, because I'm going to expand on this question a little bit as well, not just with wine, because like I said, I don't do a whole bunch of that, but a lot of you guys who have been following me for a year plus saw some of my earlier content where I would make these mixed drink videos and post them up and make some cool ideas for people to make mixed drinks at home. And in this bar right behind me, I did a lot of that kind of stuff. And one way that I do it, and it was just kind of something that I saw when I was at a tasting many, many years ago. New York City, they used to do like the big Weinbo, Michael Skurnick tasting, or distributors for New York, New Jersey. And for a while, it was a law in New York that you couldn't sample at a tasting wine and liquor under the same roof. You could do one or the other, but you couldn't do both. So they did a big wine tasting, and then they had all their spirits portfolio out with a lot of the spirits producers there. People came from all over the world, but they couldn't open up their liquor. So what one of the producers did, which I thought was really cool, he was doing a barrel-aged rum, and he got all the tasting notes for it. So you hear like almonds and strawberry and whatever tasting notes it was that were there. A couple of the guys did this. They actually went and they got almonds and they put them in a cup, and they got fig and they put it in a cup, and they got mint and they put it in a cup, and they had all these cups lined up so that you could smell each one, put them together and smell them, and kind of try to get an idea of what that liquor would have tasted like, which sounds so goofy, but I'll never forget it. And I was probably 21, 22 at the time. It was one of my first tastings, and I thought it was a really cool concept, just because whether, not that I would ever do that in my personal life at my house, but it's a great opportunity to kind of try different things and see what flavors go together. And if you can use your imagination, and you know what wine tastes like once you experience a little bit more of it, you can kind of determine what you're going to mix with it to make those special concoctions. And that would be my best advice.
Just Ask Trav.